every generation has the same obligation to history as the generation before, and the generation before it had, and the generation after it will have. And that obligation is to write things down, is to record history. And this is such an important thing, because even though you might think it might not be relevant, it's always worth making a note of it, because people who read it in the future, they might see a relevance in it that we didn't at the time. We always see that in history. And this was one of the main goals of pub exploring, was that, you know, when pubs were disappearing quite quickly, I thought to myself, well, if I get my camera out and I take photos, I can record it for future generations, so that if the pub became something of a history piece, a bygone thing, that we would then at least have a record of what pubs were. They existed, they were here, this happened. And I suppose that's part of what I'm on with tonight, is that I'm going to see a pub before it closes down due to retirement. And it was one of the key ones of pub exploring, not because of its history, but just because it was a firm favourite. So for that, I have to take one of the weirdest train journeys that I know of. I can see that he's just about to switch something on that's going to make it impossible for me to talk. Oh, I don't know, it might not be too bad. So here we are. I don't know if it's this one, possibly. Is it? Are we going to stop here? Mine's the one after. So this is, Devonport station is a really weird little station. It's served by around about 100,000 people a year, I think, and it has a regularish train service. But the reason why I'm using it today is because I'm catching a train just to go one stop to Dockyard. If you're familiar with the geography of Plymouth, you'll know that Devonport Dockyard, well, one's near the other, and so it's only a 48-second journey between the two. So, train's pulling into the station, and I think we're going to time the journey. It only takes about 40 odd seconds, but you need to find the conductor where they'll be getting off the train, so that you can let them know that you go into Dockyard, because you actually have to let them know, because otherwise they don't stop there, because it's a request stop. Can I request Dockyard Station, please?
Stop with her anyway, so don't worry about it.
Oh, okay. Because it's a request stop, you normally have to either signal your intent if you're on the platform, or ask the conductor to stop there.
Yeah, that's perfectly right. However, because of people sometimes missing the stop, whatever, we know instinctively to stop anyway.
Yeah, so they play it safe.
Yes.
Unlike the Tarka line, where if you're at Kings Limpton, you've got to make sure it stops there, because they don't always. And that whole journey took 80 seconds. Thank you. Always got to say thank you. Let me stop there. 80 seconds from Devonport to Dockyard. It seems like such a pointless journey. I just love it. I just absolutely love it. I don't know what you're thinking, but Ben, you didn't check your ticket. Don't worry, I had one. The reason why we're at Dockyard is because the landlord of one of my favourite pubs of all time is retiring, and it's the Herbert. It's perhaps one of the best train station pubs that I've ever been to in my life. And the really strange thing about it is that I didn't even, I had a list of like pubs that I was going to, it wasn't on any of them. And when I walked past, there were some lights on, and I thought, is that actually a pub? And funnily enough, it was. And it's turned out to be an absolute gem, and I'm going to really miss it. It's really one that I really hope doesn't get swallowed up by flats or anything like that. And when I was talking to my mum about the Herbert, and I was saying about like that I'd been here, because I knew that it would have been that she would know it, because this is where my family used to live years ago. This particular pocket of Devonport / Kia Morristown, and she always said to me, she said that like that all of the family, like every single Saturday, they would go to this park that was like right next to it. I'm seeing that bench there, and I'm thinking, Christ alive, should have been bringing my kids here. Sat there with a pint, just keeping an eye on them from a safe distance. But yeah, that's the thing is, again, like I never realised how intricate this was a part of my family's history. You know, because they used to live down to that sort of Plymouth Street. Yeah, so it's I don't know. I'm quite emotional, really. Quite emotional thinking about it. So it was always the case. After I first discovered this place, it was brilliant. Like I wanted to come here all the time. And I had a friend, and she lived just around the corner. And her and her chap, and this was literally like their local pub, and they didn't even know it existed. And I kept on saying to them, let's go there, let's go there, let's go there. And I always wanted to show everybody this pub. It must have been going on, it was going on for longer than a year, where I'd been trying to suggest to them that we go here, not interested, ever. And even after a year, right, it was like, I remember saying to her boyfriend, like, what's the problem with it? And he said, you know what, I've got no problem with that pub at all. He said at the first I might have been a bit hesitant, a bit reticent to go in there. No particular reason, but just hesitant, didn't really want it. He said, but Ben, you're the one that made it so I would never go in there. And now I'm never going to go in there, just because I realise how much it pisses you off. So, so it was just literally because I'd suggested it that they wanted to make absolutely sure that they never came in here. And when they actually finally did, because they gave in at some point, and they were like, hello, my new favourite pub. And it was like, yes, they see what I see in the place. So many parts of pub exploring have kind of like have come from the idea of going to this place. You wouldn't know it existed, you wouldn't know what it would be like unless you've been in there, and all these different factors, reasons just to go in random pubs, and this particular example in pub exploring was always the one that kind of embodied all of that for me. When I started doing certain pubs again, because my friend Nuria was right at the beginning of the project as it is at the moment, she kind of came into it, and these were the pubs that I wanted to take her to, and we all sat in that on that table, you know. And as you can see, the beer garden, it's not great. It could do with the liquor paint. It's not badly kept, but it's one of those things. It's functional. It works, you know. And I think that's the important thing, is that, yeah, it works. Feeling a bit emotional. No doubt I'll be back when it's under new ownership. I don't know, difficult to put into words. When you knew a pub in a certain era, it always kind of like has an identity of its own. And pardon me. And the loss of that when a person has a relation to something, whether that's another person or a pub or an object or whatever, that relationship takes on an identity of its own. So I don't know. Times are changing. I'm gonna miss the place though. It is reopening. It will reopen under new management. I've been told that tonight. So it's not goodbye forever, but yeah. Looking forward to seeing what it turns into.